And if there is somebody that understands how bad and out of control the IRS is and has been saying it for a while, it would be Rand Paul. Senator, I have been saying, because I'm at my limit, after seeing what happened yesterday, I want to know, why is Congress allowing the IRS to be in contempt of Congress? They have missed 2 deadlines now to produce, and I have news for you. If I missed a deadline to produce the documents and the things that they want, they'd padlock my doors closed and they would seize my assets. Why have we not padlocked the doors of the IRS and started to garnish the wages and seize their payroll? Because you'll get people to talk if you stop paying them.
Yeah, absolutely. They've talked about suspending people, but with pay, which is kind of ridiculous. So, no, absolutely, we need to get to the bottom of this. The other thing is the scandal's even bigger than we've talked about. They've targeted Tea Party groups on applications, but they may well have targeted people for auditing and for specific harassment. You know, that Catherine Engelbrecht from Texas, who had the FBI come, the IRS audit her business and home, OSHA came, ATF came, and really it's because she had a Tea Party group that wanted to remove dead people from the voting rolls. I think they should have been, the FBI might have been involved on the other side, actually investigating the dead people on the voting rolls instead of investigating the woman trying to remove the dead people from the voting rolls.
I will tell you, Senator, I'm about to, I'm going to talk to my attorneys up in New York today. I'm going to go up into New York and I'm going to talk to my attorneys today. I'm about to go all ape on something that I have been dealing with the federal government that they have been screwing me on. And I have played along and played nice and not said anything. With everything else that's going on, I'm about to go all ape on them as well, because there's something that I haven't talked about that has been happening to me with the federal government. They've already audited me, and now something else is going on, and there's absolutely no excuse for it. And we've been nice, but maybe it's not time to be nice anymore.
And see, most people play nice because they're afraid they'll send after more auditors after you if you don't play nice. But really, now we're finding out, there are hundreds of people, if not thousands of people around the country who may well have been targeted by the IRS. And this is what happens when you get too much power accumulated by government. But absolutely enough's enough. But I think the president's tone deaf on all of these scandals. Look, he's now promoting Susan Rice to a higher position, even though she was in charge of misdirecting and misleading the public, and everybody believes she was guilty of trying to tell us that somehow Benghazi was about a movie and not about a terrorist
And
attack.
Let's not forget about her her replacement. Her replacement is Cass Sunstein's wife, who was responsible for the Responsibility to Protect Act, which got us into Libya and everything else. I mean, Susan Rice is bad. She's being promoted, and who's replacing her is even worse. She's responsible for everything that's been going on in the Middle East in this administration, with George Soros money and Cass Sunstein's wife that is actually taking her place. And then on top of it, the people that are responsible for the IRS scandal, they get promoted, and they're being shipped over to health care.
Well, the people that they said made errors in Benghazi, they said they fired 4 employees. Well, it turns out they transferred them. We called all 4 employees last week, and we got their secretaries. They wouldn't get on the phone with us, but they all answered the phone. They all still work at the State Department. So no one was fired over Benghazi. No one's been fired over the IRS scandal. The president says, in 30 days he's going to listen to a report. Well, they've had the report's been out there for over a year and a half on what was going on. And so if he doesn't get to the point where he actually holds people accountable and people are fired and likely prosecuted, I really think he's losing that moral authority that you need to lead a nation.
Well, the IRS is now 459 days. 459 this has been going on, and they have known about it. We reported on it a year and a half ago, and it's very clear that they have no intention of doing anything. And I have to tell you, Senator, I'm really done with the speeches in Congress. I'm really done with the people saying we're going to do something. I want to know specifically, and you tell me, who do I have to ask this question in Congress? I want to know specifically why you are not garnishing the wages, why you aren't using all of the tools that the IRS uses on every single business Every single one. They would have fines. Their business would be shut down. You want people to come out of the woodwork and talk to you. You say no paychecks are going to any employee of the IRS until they comply. And you can blame it on the bosses, because that's exactly what they do to people who don't comply to them and file the paperwork and do everything and meet their demands. They padlock our front doors. Why are we not padlocking the front doors of the IRS?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, but you realize anything we do here would require the president's signature. So we passed that in the House, fails in the Senate, and the president won't sign it. So we are in an impasse.
But wait a minute, doesn't Congress have the purse strings?
Well, they do, but anything they do to change where we spend money has to be signed by the president. So there really is no ability of the Congress to do it or the House alone to do it. But what I would say, what the House does have the power to do, and Chairman Issa has done a pretty good job on all this, is bring people in. And they can bring them in under oath, and they need to bring, the people back in from the IRS. And there we can play hardball. They can be tried for, contempt of Congress. And I think the woman who came in and testified and then refused to testify, I think she has relinquished her Fifth Amendment on that, and I think she's going to have trouble.
What about is she the woman that went over to the universal health care now?
I think that was her assistant, but all of them seem to have been involved in this tax-exempt evaluation. And who exactly came up with the policy? I think we need to go through all of the communications, because I have a feeling that we're going to find that there is a paper trail. I don't see one agent in Cincinnati just making this decision on their own.
No, it's ridiculous. How much do you know about Cass Sunstein?
I've heard his testimony and read a little bit of not anything to be overwhelmingly impressed.
Okay, I'm going to send you something, Rand, because he almost. I mean, it was odd. Stephanie Powers is his wife. She's the one who's just been promoted. And she said in an interview that when the president asked him to be the regulatory czar, he almost wept. It was his dream to be the regulatory czar. He is a guy who understands, I'm telling you, this is his tactic. What is happening at the EPA, what is happening even with the emails, these are his tactics. You use the regulatory system to nudge people, and you drag things out, and then he did a paper, and I'll send this paper to you. He claims it was only an academic paper. Unfortunately, everything he said to do, they have done. And what he said to do was use the regulatory process, and you punish your enemies, and you use the regulatory process, and you drag things out, and then if somebody reports it, you then call them a conspiracy theorist. And when they report it, you just keep it. And it says in the report, in this academic paper, even if it turns out to be true a couple of years down the road, it doesn't matter. This is his tactic.
Well, it sounds a little bit like the assistant EPA official out on the West Coast who said, we should treat regulations the way the Romans did crucifixion.
Yes.
Come to down, crucify 4 or 5 people, and the rest of them will stay in line.
That is Cass Sunstein.
Yeah, it's this bully nature of government, and I think it's what's offensive to really people across party lines with the IRS, because nobody wants to believe that if you vote for your party and the other party wins, no matter which party that is, that they would use the full power and brute force of government to come after their opponents. So it is really offensive, and I think they're going to have trouble getting beyond this. And when I say that the president's going to struggle to have the moral authority to lead the nation, I don't say that lightly. I really mean that the constellation of all of these, and then promoting people like Susan Rice, who basically have been found guilty of misleading the American public and purposely misleading the American public.
With the White House and Hillary Clinton knowing full well exactly what was going on. Let me switch gears and ask you about 2 different things. First of all, when John McCain went to Syria, there is a picture of him standing with 2 known terrorists. His office said, we didn't know that they were, that's not the names they were using. That's not the name. If you don't know, if you can't identify terrorists when they're in the same room with you, John, What makes you believe we should give you an opportunity to hand guns and weapons over to them? This arming of Syria, I believe we're already in a proxy war with Russia and Iran. I believe that Syria is the linchpin. If Syria goes, if Assad goes away, you are going to see Turkey and Israel and the entire Middle East, and most likely the Europe as well, go into flames. We can't get involved in Syria now.
My point has been very similar to that. And on the Foreign Relations Committee, when this came up for a vote, I pointed out that even in Afghanistan, where we've been there for 10 years, it's fairly stable, and we have an army that we deal with, the local Afghan army. We can't vet them very well. We've had at least 100 people join the Afghan army and say, oh, we're friends of America, and then we turn the other way, and they've shot our soldiers. Syria is a much more chaotic situation. And my point about the senator being over there is that it's difficult to know who is and who is not your friend because people lie to you. They give false names. They say they're friends of America. They take the Stinger missiles, man pads, you name it, tanks, weapons, who knows what, and then they turn the other way and they use them against us. The other ironies, and I've said to them on the committee, and no one listened, is that there are two big ironies you're going to have to overcome. The first irony is that you will be associated and allied with Al-Qaeda because Al-Qaeda is on the same side of the war that you will be on. The second irony is you may well be arming Islamic rebels who will be killing Christians. Just the other day, outside the city of Homs, there was a massacre of Christians by rebels. Which rebels killed them, I don't know, but it's the same side that we're going to be arming, massacred a village of Christians. The Christians are caught. They don't know what to do. They've been protected by Assad. They're not happy and excited about fighting for Assad, but they're not real excited about fighting for the Islamic extremist either. They're caught in the middle, but they live in areas protected by Assad's army. If push comes to shove, they will fight to defend their homes. Will our weapons be arming the other side? I just can't see us doing that, and I think it's a huge mistake.
Huge mistake. Huge mistake. And, Senator, when you have a guy who is supposedly on the side that we would be arming, on video, cutting open the chest of one of Assad's soldiers and eating his heart, I think we probably should not even give these people butter knives, let alone missiles. Let me ask you about the vote. I think is coming up tomorrow, is it not, on the Gang of Eight and the immigration bill? Where do you stand on the Gang of Eight bill, and what are we going to see with you tomorrow on the vote?
Okay, I don't think we're going to have a vote on the actual proposition. We're beginning, and they're going to take several weeks on that.
Okay.
The last time I was on, I told you we had amendments. We've released those today, and we're going to send those to your office so you can look over them. But we've released 4 amendments that we will present to the bill. The bill as is not strong enough for me to vote for it. It says, we have to have a plan to build a fence. Well, 10 years ago we authorized a fence. Why would we be asking now for a plan to build a fence? So the other problem I have with the bill is that it delegates to the administration that they should have increased border security. I'm for writing it into the bill. If you want border security, we think of how to do it, we write it into the bill. So our amendment will write into the bill, into our amendment, specifically what has to be done. And then as a backstop, we will say to Congress, each year you vote on whether or not the border is secure. In any kind of process of expanding work visas, that only occurs if the border is secure.
I got news for you. I'm not right. I mean, I tuned out after you said that they had a plan in it. I'm just really not interested in any of this. They're pondering up now in Boston. They found these Saudis and Pakistanis at 1:30 in the morning at their water reservoir. I'm just taking a tour of it in the middle of the night. They cut open the fence, and they were just crazy college kids that just wanted to see how it all worked, and it was just a crazy tour. That's all it was. And
we had a system after 9/11 to target 25 countries and to look at all of the student visas, and we actually deported about 13,000 people who were not obeying the rules of the student visa program. Obama ended that last year. We are resurrecting that, and we have an amendment that will bring back that system. It will target at least 25 countries. if you go to Chechnya and you're a student from Chechnya, we're going to know everything about you before you get to the country, and you will be monitored to make sure you are obeying the rules of our country and the rules of the student visa system. We will know where you travel, when you travel, and that is what you get in exchange for coming to America if you want to be a student. And we beef that up in our amendments. And so we want to make the bill stronger. We also want to fix the problem at the border. Most illegal immigrants are coming in here, and they're not coming in here. They're coming in here to work, but we don't have a good work visa program. So you have to make the work visa program work if you want to stop illegal immigration.
All right. Senator, I appreciate it, and keep up the good work and let us know how we can help. And please send us those amendments. I want to post them